Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hello everybody, Q&A the Laird here, and back with a new book review for you. And I haven't actually done a new book review for quite a while now, because I pretty much ran out of that big pile that I had some time ago, and yeah, and I haven't picked up a new one for quite a while. I've been doing some other stuff on the channel, like the free magazines and stuff like that. But I had an Amazon voucher to use, and I was having a little look through the stuff that was on there to see if there's anything that took my fancy in the books category. This was one of the first places I look if I have a voucher, and I came across this, which, as you can see, is the Guide to Beat 'em Ups Volume 1 by Hardcore Gaming 101, which I'm sure you're all familiar with because it's an absolutely brilliant website that I've really enjoyed reading down the years, and it's also a great source of research for many of the documentary videos that I make as well. And in fact, some years ago, I did Story Bundle. I contributed a couple of books for their retro gaming version of Story Bundle that they did to raise money. I think it was for coronavirus. I think they raised money for, I believe, if I remember rightly, charity thing, and I stuck two books in that in their charity bundle of my own, and I think Hardcore Gaming 101 stuck a couple in there as well. So I think we were actually two of the headline books in the main package, because there was a one tier, and then there was a further tiers where you got more books. But anyway, I digress. This is what we're going to be looking at today. So the fact it's volume 1 excited me as well, because then I thought, there's going to be more volumes, or there might be more volumes. I haven't actually had a look. I should get on to that actually, because I've enjoyed this so much. I would like to check out the others. But it's a print on demand book done by Amazon. So that's why it's a bit, the cover's a bit floppy. Something you get, unfortunately, with the paperback print on demand at Amazon. But don't let that detract from it too much, because it's a nice glossy cover. The illustration on the cover is brilliant as well. I really like it. So there we go. It starts off with that iconic Bimmy and Jimmy picture, actually, from Double Dragon, and and just a tiny little bit about the book. And it says it was first printed in August 2021. So it has been out actually for a little while, but I've only just become aware of it. Whether it was not available through Amazon or what, maybe it was only a PDF book or something, I don't know. But certainly I only became aware of it quite recently. This is going to be annoying to look through because the pages don't stay in place very well, as you can see, but we'll do our best. So then it goes into our table of contents and an editorial from Kurt Kalata, as you'd probably expect to be, and lists all the games, obviously, that are in it. And one thing I want to mention, actually, which you might notice if you can read that contents list from the video, is the style it takes, because obviously there's so many beat 'em ups out there that there's several different ways you could go. You could go with lots of small reviews of different beat 'em ups, or you could concentrate on the big well-known games, or you could try and do it as a timeline from the earliest, obviously the earliest being Kung Fu Master, and going through to the present day, to stuff like Streets of Rage 4. So there's lots of different ways you could approach it, but what they've actually done is, it seems to be nearly all games by Technos, Capcom, and Konami. The only exception to that I can see here is the fact that it does cover the Streets of Rage franchise. And I think that's probably because everybody would expect to see Streets of Rage covered in such a book. But it even breaks down here. So does Technos first, then it goes into Capcom, then Konami, and then last of all, it says Sega, but that's a bit misleading in a way, because it's not Sega, it's just Streets of Rage. It doesn't mention any other Sega beat 'em ups. and there are plenty of others, obviously, that it could talk about in that category for another volume. So yes, so it starts off, because it starts off with Technos, it starts off with the game that started it all for Technos, Renegade, which of course was a Kunio-kun game in Japan. Most of the other Kunio-kun games are sports games, like the volleyball and soccer, which became Nintendo World Cup. So this is their beat 'em up, really. Renegade, which obviously then led on to Double Dragon, which kind of follows on from there. So obviously it covers the history of the game. It covers all the differences between the Japanese and the Western versions, and shows you every port of the game there. Though I say every port, weirdly, I noticed that if you look there on all the screenshots, no screenshot for the Atari ST version, which is really bizarre, given that it shows a screenshot for the Thompson version, and given that Thompson is a weird French 8-bit computer that almost nobody would have heard of, I find it strange that you put a picture of the Thompson version, which is essentially just a port from the Spectrum anyway, as you can probably see from the screenshot, over the Atari ST. Very, very weird. It's not mentioned the Atari ST version. Unfortunately, actually, that's a theme through the book. That's not the only game where they do that. They miss out the Atari ST versions. They mention it exists, but they don't show screenshots from it, which is really strange. Why it doesn't show Atari ST versions of the game. But there we go. It goes into sort of Target Renegade, Renegade 3. Then it goes into River City Ransom. So those games, and the River City Girls, obviously the new one that they did. So I don't want to show you too much of the books. I'm just flicking through at this point. So there we go. River City Girls is there. I haven't actually played that one. I've heard it's good though. I should acquire it. I think it's on Xbox One, so I should acquire it for that. Then it goes into obviously the iconic Double Dragon. Really enjoyed that because I'm a massive fan of Double Dragon, and of course Double Dragon won my recent thing for the best arcade game ever made. The poll I did with the viewers in the retro gaming community, and Double Dragon was voted top. So it just shows how much people love Double Dragon, doesn't it? So yes, it goes into the sequels, so 2 and 3, and obviously spin-off stuff, because obviously the NES versions of the Double Dragon were not the same as the arcade versions. So it covers both. Again, it covers all the home ports, which are all mentioned here. My only bugbear actually with the home ports is that, again, it doesn't show the Atari ST weirdly. Yeah, it shows, but it shows the alternative versions for like the Commodore 64 and stuff, and weird versions like the Zeebo and the 2 different mobile versions. But yeah, again, it doesn't bother showing Atari ST. Don't understand that at all. Really, really weird that they would leave out Atari ST again. But they really slag off. Well, not really slag off, but they took to say the Atari 2600 version is terrible, and I know a lot of people think that, but I maintain that it's brilliant. I absolutely love the Atari 2600 Double Dragon, and I played it probably more than any other version because I bought it back in '89 and bloody loved it. So yeah, Double Dragon 2 into Double Dragon 3, and it goes right up to the present day because you've got Double Dragon Neo in there, the new one, the Neon. They did Double Dragon 5. It's a horrible game. Let's not talk about that because I had it on the Jaguar. Possibly the biggest waste of money ever. Here's Double Dragon Neon, which I think is brilliant. I loved Neon. Really good game. It's got the Neo Geo Double Dragon in there. I think that's a fighting game like Double Dragon 5. It's got that Double Dragon 2, Wonder of the Dragons, that they did that was terrible. So yeah, it's got all the different ones they did in there. Double Dragon Trivia. Then we've got Combat Tribes, another Technos one, lesser known. Shadow Force, Silent Dragon. Then we go into Final Fight, of course. Probably Capcom's most famous scrolling beat 'em up. So there we go. Shows all the different versions. There. Even the Spectrum version, which a lot of people can't believe exists. But of course they miss out the Atari ST version. Again, it's just so strange where they don't show the Atari ST for any of these games. I just don't get it. It's like they've airbrushed the Atari ST from history. But as I say, it usually mentions it as a box here that says what versions the games come out on. and it's strange that they put it there. They put AST, but then yeah, they don't ever bother showing the screenshots. Says Dynasty Wars. Again, no Atari ST version, because they always leave the Atari ST version out, which is a shame because I loved the ST version of Dynasty Wars. I thought it was really good. Warriors of Fate, Captain Commando, great game that. King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, lovely, really good game as well. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, another great game. Punisher, loved that as well. I loved all these Capcom beat 'em ups really. Dungeons and Dragons, I've got both of those on the Saturn, they're brilliant. Alien vs Predator, which I think is the best arcade beat 'em up ever made, personally. And I said so when I did my recent arcade exclusives video. Such a shame it never got any home ports because it was such a good game. Battle Circuit, Crime Fighters and Vendetta. It's into Konami stuff now. Violent Storm, of course. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It had to be there, didn't it? So then again, we've got the home versions. Of course, except for the Atari ST, which it doesn't show. Even though the Atari ST version is really good actually. Turtles in Time and Hyperstone Heist from the Mega Drive. Manhattan Project from the NES. Oh god, skipping well ahead there. Asterix, another game that I included in my arcade exclusives, was back there somewhere. There it is. Because I love that game. Big fan of Asterix. Gaiopolis. Metamorphic Force, very lesser known one. The Simpsons, another one of the more well known ones that people really like. X-Men, another great one from Konami, enjoyed that a lot. We've got Batman Returns there, not so good. And then it goes into Streets of Rage games, so obviously Streets of Rage 1, Streets of Rage 2, the best scrolling beat 'em up ever made in my opinion. You can fight me, there's nothing else that comes close in arcades or console. Streets of Rage 3, which disappointed me quite a bit. Still a good game, but it disappointed me. Streets of Rage Remake, which I absolutely love. Still play that on my PC from time to time. And Streets of Rage 4, which again I absolutely loved. Got it on Xbox One. So good. And then it's got a little gallery at the back, tribute to their patrons. So, and that's all of that. And that's it really. That's the Guide to Beat 'em Ups by Retro Gaming, Hardcore Gaming 101, Volume 1. I really want to pick up Volume 2 now because I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I think it's great, even though they get a big negative for just whitewashing the Atari ST from history for some reason, which I just find so utterly bizarre why they do that. Another thing though I will say is that I did think it was very strange that they didn't put Kung Fu Master in here, because as I mentioned at the beginning, Kung Fu Master was the first scrolling beat 'em up, and I know they've gone for this whole thing about doing it, with the different companies, Technos, Capcom, Konami, and Irem didn't do a lot else scrolling beat 'em up wise. There was another one that they did later, for some reason. Totally escapes me. What is it? Crime Fighters they did? I can't remember. Anyway, but they should have included Kung Fu Master, I think, in the first volume, literally because that's your starting point for scrolling beat 'em ups. Everything that came after, came from Kung Fu Master, really. I mean, I think the most important one in many ways that sparked that whole boom of scrolling beat 'em ups, where they became hugely popular for a while towards the end of the 80s, and in particular was Double Dragon. Obviously that was amplified by Final Fight, so you could probably argue that Double Dragon is the most important one in terms of the genre, but obviously Kung Fu Master was the first, so it should have been in the book, I think, as a starting point. Of course there was Vigilante as well that Irem did. Just thought that, which is kind of unofficial sequel to Kung Fu Master in many ways, wasn't it? But that's it really. I still highly recommend this book. I think it's great. In terms of cost, I think it was about £15. I'm trying to think if it's got the price on it there. It hasn't, but yeah, I paid £15 for it. which I thought was very good value for money actually, because it's a decent sized book, all in full colour. Yeah, really good. So yeah, if you are into scrolling beat 'em ups as much as I am, then you should definitely go and grab this brilliant book. I've been the Retro Laird, as always. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video very soon. Bye bye.